Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and today we are filming 2-in-1, so don't be surprised. Ears and, well, the ears are like always the same, but the shirt and everything about me is the same because it's intentional. So today, for the middle part of the video I am filming, we are looking at something that was actually a viewer request. You guys, or one of you had mentioned in the comments that it is coming to the UK. You wanted my thoughts on it, so I went ahead and picked up the Kat Von D what is this? Shade and Light Glimmer palette. It is a Shade and Light Glimmering Eye Contour palette. It says on the back here, this transform your eyes through the art of contouring. Okay, that's all it says. So I thought we would kind of open it up and take a look. As always, her packaging is stunning. Look at this bad boy. How much was this? Where's my phone? I need to know the price, Paige. Get your life together. Yes, $49. Wow, that's expensive. Okay. So what else we got here? We're going to open it up, and it has all the shade names and a grid on the back of this, which is nice. Nice, very pretty mirror you got right here. And then these are the shades. Doesn't come with a brush or anything like that. And I believe the idea here is you're literally just going to be contouring the shit out your eyes, making them look pretty. Now let's see. That's a really nice mirror. I look fantastic. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Are these all shimmers? It looks like... maybe it's just me, but it looks like all of these up here are all shimmers, and then these three are mattes. I don't know. We're gonna swatch down the arm, as always, you guys. I feel like this is one of those palettes, as I went through and swatched them, I don't want to give a bad review because I didn't read. So I want to go on and I want us to read from the Sephora website what it says. Okay, details. What it is: an eye contouring palette with 12 natural shades in a range of glimmering finishes, which is true. These are all very, very glimmery. So I already don't like that it doesn't have any matte shadows, but personal feelings aside here. What it does: Kat Von D revolutionized the art of contouring once again with the Shade and Light Glimmer Eye Contour Palette, a unique way to contour with not only shadow and light, but eye-catching dimension. Experience the same natural tones from the original best-selling Shade and Light Eye Contour Palette, reimagined in 4 wearable finishes that build in intensity. Organized into natural, cool, and warm tone quads, this palette features shimmering satin-based shades, pearlized metallic contour hues, and reflective glitter tones. Shade and Light Glimmer Eye Contour Palette allows you to seamlessly build a look within the palette. I don't know about that. By layering different levels of dimension to achieve opening effects, or pair glimmer shades with the original matte eye contour palette for endless possibilities. In other words, we want you to buy both for $100. Great. Each velvety powder is blendable and buildable and features Kat Von D's signature high-performance long-wear shadow formula for glimmering looks that shift and sparkle with every movement. So basically what I just heard is, hey, we came out with the other version that's all matte, and now we want you to buy the shimmer version of the same palette. Why not just put them both in one, or make it more affordable? I don't know, none of my business. I do have the swatches done though, so let's zoom you in and I will read you the shade names, and we shall talk. All right, up here at the top we have Porcelain, Dusk, and June, I believe is what that says. Those 3 are the top row, the big thick palettes. And then we get into the eyeshadows. This is what starts the single row of the eyeshadows. It is Copper, Bronze, Sterling, which is a white reflect, you can probably barely see it, Cider, Onyx, Glacier, which is a little bit more intense white reflect, a little more true white, Rust, Jasper, and then the last one is Quartz, which is just stunning. Okay, so I thought the best way to do this, obviously, is to let you be relatively close, but I also think that we need to discuss my thoughts on the swatches and how they went on. I think that these 3 these 3 right here in this big thick bulk area, those were a lot more, what's the word I want to use? They were more crumbly, I think, but they were still very smooth finish. The only one that was a little bit chalky looking is this white one down here, and it wasn't so much that it was, it's not white, by the way, it's like yellow, but it's not so much that it's chalky, it's just that it looked a little chalky. They're all very, very creamy. I will give them that. These are some insanely creamy eyeshadows, like wow. A lot of them swatched really nicely. Onyx, which is this black sparkly one right here, was a little bit thin in swatch, meaning like when I swiped it on, it kind of ran out of pigment, had a little bit almost chalky look to it just because it didn't swatch very well. A lot of these other ones, though, you guys, swatched beautifully. So now I think we need to figure out the best way to put this bad boy on our eyes. And I'm not sure how we want to do this because I like matte shadows, but they're saying you can build an entire eye look out of this by building colors and stuff. It's just going to be a super reflective eye, which I get is probably the point of it. For me personally, I just don't think it's the most inclusive option because obviously, A, they want you to buy the matte version of the same palette, and B, whenever I look at a palette, unless it specifically says, which I get it, this one definitely does, it's a glimmer eye, yada yada, I'm not stupid, but I look at palettes and I'm like, what's the functionality of it? Well, the functionality of something with all glitter shadows isn't that high. So if you're looking at something from a functional perspective, or you only want it, you say, hey, I got 50 bucks, like, is this a good palette for all around use? I'm gonna say no, just because it doesn't have a matte shadow. But that doesn't mean that we don't like it. It just means that from my personal functional standpoint, it's not something I would reach for. I reach for shades or for palettes that are both matte and glistening, or, you know, matte and this and this. I like them to have kind of a touch of everything. So let's put some on our face because God, I don't want to talk anymore. Okay, first thing we're going to do is prime, and we are going to do that with our Smashbox 24-hour photo finish primer because we love that and it's fabulous. Duh. We're just going to go in with a little bit. I did not prime already. I did not set. Normally when I review a palette, I have already, you know, primed and set my eyelids with translucent powder and whatnot. I didn't do that this time because I wanted to use their palette because that's kind of the entire point, is that you can set and highlight and contour and do all of it within one palette. So that's what we're going to do. Was anyone else a little shooketh? If you've tried this palette already, am I like the only one? I don't mess around a lot with Kat Von D. I'll get into that in a minute while I'm putting on my shadows, but I was a little shooketh with like how creamy these were. I swatched them and I was like, damn. Even if I don't like it, it's going to be hard not to like it because it's pretty decent. Like the swatchability on these, them damn things are creamy, a little crumbly, but creamy, child. Okay, now where's my crease brush? The question I ask myself all the time. Brush, crease brush, where art thou? Okay, we have a, yep, that's what we have. We have a nice fluffy crease brush here. We are going to start with this very top shade right here. It's a nice, like, lighter yellow kind of color, just to set down that primer that we put on. So we're gonna pat it down one more time because it needs to be patted down. And then we're just gonna go in with that color. Again, that is this yellowy shade right here. It almost looks like a banana powder, but with like a hint of shimmer. I will say of all the shades, this one probably has the least amount of like shimmery reflect to it. And we're just going to put that all over the eye because you got to set down that primer, child. I tell you what, that sure is eye brightening. Holy but Jesus. That's a very nice out there. And you know, that's something too that I kind of want to touch on. I'll probably hit on it at the end of the video. But as I was reading through this, a lot of the stuff that they said or that they were talking about and how, you know, really emphasize the eye, give the eye a little bit of a pop. People like me, if you have hooded eyes, I have like, if I put everything down, do you see, like literally I have no eyelid. Like I have super, super hooded eyelids. And so that's why you'll see me and I talk like this a lot, and that's why I really draw my shadows up, because just to look at me, like if I were to just put them on the lid, I would have no eyeshadow. So something like this, if you can find a way to really make the light, you know, catch and contour your eye and create the illusion or the dimension of having eyelids, do it, honey, because I have none, and that's why like I am always on the quest for just that. So now let's go into the crease with, you know, I think a good place to start is actually going to be this other orange shade down here, this bigger guy, just to buff it into the crease and start trying to build a little something. I am not like, again, I've said this, I think I just said this actually like a second ago, I'm not super familiar with Kat Von D shadows, so I don't know really how they build. And I kind of liked that. I was going into this review like not comparing it to anything else because I think that that's kind of awesome. I feel like, you know, sometimes when you've worked with a brand so much that you can kind of, you know, cloud or manipulate your own thoughts. So I thought it was kind of cool that for once I'm going into this and I'm like, I don't really know what to expect, but we're going to find out. Oh, so part of the reason that I'm not a huge fan of Kat Von D, I know that it was like all over the internet, like within the last, or it was like a year ago or whatever, but that huge thing that happened with her and Jeffree Star, and you know, it isn't so much that I'm like pro Jeffree Star or whatever, and if you don't know, she just, basically they had a disagreement, and instead of like her handling it, this is how I see it. Instead of her going to Jeffree and just handling it like their own, you know, disagreement or whatever it is they were arguing about, she went straight to Facebook and just blasted him, or not Facebook, I'm sorry, onto YouTube. She like created a video about like, you know, basically you did this, he screwed this person, and this is what he did, and blah blah blah. And what I didn't like is, I feel like based on what we get as the viewer and like the limited information that we're given, you know, it comes just from both of them. But I just appreciated the way that he did it. And a couple things about the two videos, like she was like, I'll show you the messages if you don't believe me, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, no, really, like, here are the messages. And he actually did a side-by-side on his phone and, like, did it that way, which I really appreciated because I thought it showed a little bit more transparency. And I feel like, too, like, everything that he said, it made more sense. You know how you can, like, hear a story sometimes and you're like, that person's being shady as hell. Like, there's something that they're not saying, or there's something, whatever. So if you're like, you know, pro Kat Von D or whatever, don't be hating. It really doesn't affect my life. But just based off of that, I really wasn't a fan of how she handled it. I didn't like that she kind of came at it with like so much hate right out of the start. You know, that could have been handled so much better. And he only made a video, you know, like 4 days after she did, just because he was literally, he's like, I'm getting death threats. My family's getting death threats. Like, she doesn't realize how serious people take this. It might just be makeup and you might think that it's just a beef between you and I, but like, your followers are taking this way too far. And so I thought that was a bit ridiculous. And I like, too, he actually made a really good point, which I, like, then went and investigated. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't sleep. I was in a lot of pain. So I was like, why not just investigate something that has nothing to do with me? But he had said that her palettes and stuff, like, she recently, and again, this was last year, but she had, like, just recently become, like, making all of her products vegan friendly, and she's, like, so proud of it. And she had said, like, oh, well, Jeffree stole this formula, and, you know, he stole this idea, and he stole that idea, and he stole the idea of having vegan products. And Jeffree Star was like, mine have literally been vegan from the start. Like, all of my products have always been vegan friendly because I know that a lot of my followers are vegans and I want them to be able to enjoy my products too. She only made hers vegan after she herself became a vegan. So something that, you know, I was like listening to everything that he said and just, I felt like he was more believable, and everything that he said like lined up better than what she said. I felt like she was just pissed off, and like, I don't want to be one of those girls that's like, she's being hormonal, but that's what it sounded like. I watched her video and I was like, I'm pretty unbiased. Like, at this point, I didn't really care about either of them. Still can't really say that I care like a ton about this whole dispute. But as I was watching it, I was like, she just looks like she's mad. And he went on and he was like really disappointed. He's like, you and I were friends. Like, this is not what I wanted. And I just felt like the way that he handled it and everything was the higher road. And after I watched hers, I viewed her differently, and like the way that she was almost like whining and just being pissed off about everything and like not taking accountability for anything. And it just, I don't know, it frustrated me. And so now I'm just like, no. Like, and it's not like, oh, I hate all her products. Like, if I try good ones, then I try good ones. I wouldn't hate it because of that. Because ever since then, I'm like, there's other products I would rather try. You know what I mean? You know how sometimes you get that, like, I don't hate her. I don't hate her products. I'm just like, I don't know. For some reason, like, watching her attitude in that and, like, I don't know. It put a bad taste in my mouth. So next, I want to go in. See, it's so hard because they're all shimmery. I think I do want to go in. These shades are super similar to are they similar to anybody else? Because I feel like, and these are these first two shades right here. And I just feel like they are so similar. Like, one is just a tiny bit darker, the second one is. So we're going to go in with that first shade, and we're just going to keep building the crease. Hopefully, I don't know. And kind of going from there. So yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on it a little bit. And again, that never does like impact. Just so you guys know, I actually have 1 or 2 of her liquid lipsticks kicking around in my drawer. Like, I do, it's not that I don't like Kat Von D. Another reason that I don't use it a ton is because it is exclusive to Sephora, and most of what I buy I try to get from Ulta because I prefer their point system. There's one close to me that I can use to return, and it's just easier for me. So I prefer Ulta and I prefer their rewards, but that's another reason that I don't like go heavy. There's a lot of like Sephora brands that you guys don't see me go heavy on. You might just not realize it, but that's why. But I tell you what, guys, we keep this channel growth up. Man, bitch will be buying stuff from, like, Neiman's and stuff. I'm like, yeah. Better yet, them bitches be sending it to me. They'll be like, hey, Paige, we want you to try this. Actually, no, they won't, because they're not going to want me to hate on it publicly. I feel like I'm one of those people, like I just can't be bought. And I don't know how that happened. I mean, I'm glad it happened, but I was like, I watch other people's videos and I'm like, how are you so easily influenced by other people? Like, I feel like people try to influence me in my opinion, and I'm just like, stop. No. Like, it's not gonna work. Like, don't try to influence me because you can't. Like, I will listen to reason, I will listen to your argument, I will listen to thoughts. It's just like politics, you know, people, you always get those people that are like, I'm gonna change your mind, and like, no, you're not. Like, we all believe and we all think what we think. You're not gonna change my mind, sorry. But I'll listen to you and I'll absolutely consider what you say, and I might even agree with you on some things. So in the description, she said, or the description, I shouldn't say she said, but they said that these are very buildable, blendable, and so far they are definitely correct. I love how buildable they are. I think that that is very beautiful. I think that the shadows themselves are blending gorgeously. They do feel like heavy shadows, or like almost grease. I don't want to say greasy, but that's what it keeps reminding me of. Like they're thick shadows. Not that that's bad, but that does kind of cause them to kind of skip on my eyelid every once in a while. I've had it happen. You might be able to see it like right in here, a little in here. It does skip a tiny bit, and it's just because they're heavier and they're a little bit more difficult to manipulate, but they're also not super powdery. So, you know, you kind of got to take the good with the bad. Powdery ones, at least on my eyelids, they don't tend to like stick as much, but they blend beautifully, but they're also powdery, so there's more fallout. This one, there's like literally, well, there is a tiny bit of fallout, but almost none so far. Okay, I want to take a clean brush, which I'm just going to go in with my Real Techniques. You guys see this thing all the time. It's technically a setting brush, but I use brushes for like whatever I feel like. And I love to take this one. It's like, it's always clean. And I just like to go in and I blend out. Like anytime I do that and I'm just like, okay, there's edges, or there's this or there's that. I just like to go in and really buff everything together. Sometimes if I have like a translucent powder, or if I don't like how dark something is, I'll go in with a translucent powder and do it. But for the most part, I just go in and kind of buff it all out and make it look a little bit more seamless, a little bit more airbrushed. It's a good technique. It works really well for me because it allows me to kind of be in a hurry but still make my eyeshadow look good, which you guys know I'm all about that. Okay, now just because I'm in love with it, I am going to go in with this shade down here. I want to say it's copper, right? Or rust or something. Yeah, rust. This red shimmery shade, I live for that shade. So I'm going to go in with a little bit smaller brush, I think. God, this is so weird. Okay. I want it in the crease, but I don't want to use a fluffy crease brush because I feel like it's going to go everywhere. I'm going to go in. It's still a crease brush, but it's a lot more like domed and kind of like dense at the end. So I think that this one will allow me to control it a little bit better. Ooh, that shit is pigment. Okay. Okay, so obviously it's on this side, not on this side. And one thing that I'm really not loving about this palette is I don't like that all of the shades, like they're individual in like on my arm, they swatch individual, and then I layer them together and they all become one deep shade of brown. And it's a beautiful shade. It's just like, you know, you could have honestly, I could have, so far, my eye, like this eye that has, what, 3 colors on it? 4 colors? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 4 colors. Could have literally been done with like just this one dark brown shade. And I don't like it when palettes do that because, I mean, it looks, I mean, it's not the exact same, but it's pretty damn close. What I don't like is that I feel like, you know, you pay money for diversity, and then when they go on the lid, if they all kind of blend together, it's like, why did I pay money for that? I'm not saying that they're not beautiful. I'm not saying that I don't like its blending. I like to tell you guys what I think as I go along, so that way you kind of know where I'm at. Oh my God, like it goes, why? Why is this stuff, it's so heavy and like greasy, and I wish that there was a better way that I could explain that. Like it's going all over, like it's going into my under eye, it's going, and now like my concealer looks a hot mess. Not that my concealer looked great before. You'll see that in another video because I'm filming it, but oh my God. I just feel like it's like everywhere. What do we want to go in with next? I think that we've got the dark part pretty much covered. Oh yes, I want to go in with one of these lighter shades. I want to make sure that I use a couple of them so I can get a better feel for them, give you a good first impression. So I think I want to start by kind of packing this shade down here, Quartz, this beautiful rose gold. I'm going to kind of put that from the inside all the way out, and then put another, like one of the lighter white metallics on top and build it again. The payoff is not what I want. I'm going to try my finger. You guys know, going in. I'm not loving the payoff on this one. It's here, it's not here. And it's not like, okay, look at how beautiful it is on my arm, right? Like, let me give back. See the light and how gorgeous, right? And then my lid, it's like not giving me the payoff I want. My last resort is to spray the brush because for some reason it always looks kind of funny on my lid. Like my lid just doesn't like it, but hey, it's the last resort. We spread this. Hey guys, we spreaded the brush. Good job. And we sprayed it, and then we're gonna go in again and try it one more time. See if we can get a little more something, something. There's a ton of freaking fallout with this shade. Great. It's not awful, it's just not my favorite. Like, I don't know why it's not being glitzy or glammy. Okay, so I can tell you one thing I'm not living for. Let me zoom you in. I don't know if you can see this fallout, but there is so much. Oh, nope, that's not going to help. So much fallout. Second thing I don't like, look at it on the arm. One more time. See how beautiful. What the hell's on my arm? I don't know. Oh, I tried to sharpen a black eyeliner. Got it all over my body. Let's continue. So look at how beautiful, right? Beautiful, reflective, oh, sexy. Eyelids, not sexy. Like, it's just, it fell totally flat. It's pretty, it just falls very flat for me. Okay, zoom back out, because, you know, creepy. The last thing I really do want to do at the moment is go in with this white reflect. Now, I don't think I talked about this too much. So the reason I'm picking this white reflect right here over this one, if you look at both of them, right, they're both really beautiful, shiny. They have a great, like, to them, that shape shift. But I feel like this one, it's whiter than this one, which is like a more yellowy undertone, like a slight yellow undertone. It might be because it has small, like, glittery specks in it. Now this other one also has like glittery flecks, but they're more white glitter, so they pick up and it all picks up white. I feel like this one, I don't know, I feel like it swatched okay, but as far as how it's gonna go on the eye, I don't have much faith. So I'm gonna go in with the other one, and I think it looks, I mean, it swatches really prettily. Okay, so I'm just gonna try and pop that in the center of the lid and see how we, oh, this one has pigment. Now you do it to me. Really? Come on. Because that's freaking stunning. That shade is absolutely gorgeous. Like, that was a game changer. I'm putting it all the way down. Okay, so I did go in. I covered up a lot of that rose quartz color I just put on there. I'm just going to blend out the edges a little again. Okay, I do want to go in. I gave it some thought because I've had nothing but time to think over here. And I do want to go in with this black shadow. Again, we want to test as many as we can. So I'm going to pop that on the outer V and see how it looks. See if it's a good deepening color or if it just like sits there like an ugly toad on a log. That blended really pretty. Like, has it, doesn't have it. It just adds like a little bit of smoke, and I went in really light-handed, like tap it off. That's not so bad, guys. I think that's really pretty. Minus all the damn fallout on my face. I look like a go-go dancer. I want to go in with that same white reflect shade that we just tapped all over the lid, and I want to pop that in the inner corner. I want to take that same shade, brow bone. So guys, that's actually pretty. Okay, I also need to do the lower lash line, and I want to really do something that's going to let me showcase that copper color. I need to give it one last try because I fell pretty hard for that. Like, I fell in love. We had a love child, and then it ran away and it left me with the baby. So I need to, that was very elaborate. I need to find a way to love it again. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to run it on the lower lash line. So that red under the eyes, oh, perfect. It's just like a light little pop of color. It's exactly what I needed. I'm going to go ahead, you guys. I need to finish up my face. I'm going to add bronzer and all that good stuff. I will come back on here and I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this palette. So give me 1 second to finish up my face because I'm looking kind of crazy and I got to get this glitter off somehow. And child, there is a shit ton. So hold on. Okay guys, I went ahead, I finished my face. Real quick recap, I used the It Cosmetics Ombre Bronzer. You guys have seen it 100 times. I used a blush out of this bad boy here. I used a mixture of Poised and nope, I lied. Lavished and Kindred. I wanted like that kind of darker, more subdued blush, but still a little tiny hit of peach underneath. And then I oh wait. I didn't do my mascara. Hold on. Okay, for real this time, I went ahead and I put my mascara on, and I went in with the new Clinique High Impact Mascara. It is relatively new. I just almost dropped it. Ooh, I caught it. Stuck the landing. So this one you will see in the Clinique video. I don't know which one goes up first, but I'll link it when it's done because that is also the other video I am shooting today talking about the Clinique Even Better Glow Light Makeup, and their concealer, and then of course that mascara. So let's finish up my thoughts on this palette. I have quite a few thoughts on this, more than I would normally have. I should probably, I'm cleaning it off real quick because it's gross. It was like covered in powder, and I don't even know how that powder got there, but figured I should wipe it off. Oh, and in case you were curious, also, I always forget this part, on my lips, I am wearing Celebrity Skin by Jeffree Star, but I am wearing the roll-up stick version. In my opinion, it goes on a little bit darker than the liquid version. I like the liquid version better. This is just what I had next to me, and it was kind of that, I wanted a very neutral lip because I feel like the rest of my face is very glowy and in your face. So let's get back to the palette now that I got that out of the way. I actually have a little bit more like thoughts on this than I thought, like that extend beyond the it's chalky or it doesn't blend or the pigment sucks or whatever. And I've been kind of thinking about it as I put on the rest of my makeup and finish stuff out. The first thing I want to say about them is that they are very blendable. They are, the pigmentation on these shadows is absolutely stunning. I think that they are beautiful shadows. I want to say that first and foremost, no haters can come for me. I think that they go on nicely with a blending brush. I think they go on nicely with a paddle brush. If you're someone that's kind of, you know, newer to it and you're like, what's the best way? I personally applied to the lid with my fingers because that was what I found worked the best. The darker shadows, anything that I put on the outer V, they blended so nice with just a fluffy brush. The first issue that I have, I wanted to get that out of the way before everyone's like, oh, you just hate her, whatever. The first thing I do want to throw out there is that these are very heavy. When I was putting them on my face, they were very thick. They almost felt like a cream eyeshadow, and I didn't see on here that they were a cream eyeshadow, so maybe that's just me. But they were very thick, very heavy shadows. They're not uncomfortable on the lids. They're not like sticking or anything like that, but I am prone to creasing, and I looked closely and I do see the potential for them to crease in the colors and, you know, for the color to kind of work around a little bit, which I don't like. That's a lot of the reasons why oily lidded people like myself, when we go in and we prime, we set with a translucent powder, something that can soak up that extra oil. Now, because these are so thick and creamy, it makes that a little bit more difficult because they will have the tendency to crease. I will leave that in the comments if they did or did not crease. Obviously, I don't know. I haven't worn them long enough, but I'll be sure to let you guys know on that. The other thing I want to mention is some of these shades, and I said this before, but I want to touch on it again. Some of these shades are very beautiful alone, like that red, I keep wanting to call it copper, but the shade is Rust, and it's this beautiful shade down here. I've shown it to you guys 100 times. I'm obsessed with it. I ran it on the lower lash line. I think that it looks beautiful by itself. I think that it does carry a nice deep rust undertone, but I didn't like it when I blended it up here with the brown. I felt like it couldn't stand by itself. That shade, the brown shades, they all kind of went together to just create like one dark brown shade. And that's something that I have a hard time with, because I know a lot of people are going to say, well, of course they're going to blend together and make a dark brown shade. That, duh. But I feel like you should be able to put one shade of brown all over the crease and then a rusty red coppery color on the outer V without them fusing together and just looking brown. And I have a lot of other shadows that do it, and that doesn't happen. So I think part of it is because these are thicker, creamier eyeshadows, and because the pigments, the underlying pigments maybe and how they were created are the same undertone, so maybe it just makes them go together. I don't really know, but I do know that for me that was a huge drawback. I think that these shades up here kind of have me at a little bit of a loss. I understand the purpose for them. I understand that they're supposed to help you contour the eye. I don't know if those are just supposed to be like, oh, a quick easy eye look, blah, 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 and you're done. I'm not sure, but I wish that instead of having those 3 pans that large, that maybe they could have done like split these pans in half and have, you know, half of it be glimmer, half of it be matte, or put that area and those 3 pans to different use, because I feel like yes, there was a use for them. Yes, I did set my eye with this one, you know, and I did work with them. I think I worked with all of them, or at least 2 of them in this. I can't remember now, but it doesn't matter. I just feel like they're just bigger versions of these, so I don't understand why we needed those 3 when you could have either incorporated other colors or gave us a matte shadow. You know, you could have done more to it. Which brings me into my next point. I know that you guys are going to have an issue with me. Oh, I wish there was a matte shadow. I wish there was a matte shadow. And you always have to remember, I looked at things from a practicality standpoint first. So at the end of the day, the question is, would I buy this palette? If I had $49 sitting on the table in front of me, would I reach or would I purchase this again? From my practical standpoint, I have to say no. If I'm someone that's like, I need an eyeshadow palette, I want a good one, I don't have a lot in my collection, and I'm looking for a staple piece, this is not going to be a staple piece. To me, this is what I call an extra piece. This is what I consider to be like something that you have because you enjoy it. It's something fun, which for some of you, you're like, oh, that's all makeup. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like extra, like okay, here's a good example. The fact that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Skin Frosts from Jeffree Star. I'm not gonna lie, only like 1 to 2 of these do I really like need in my collection. The rest of them are extra. I have I think I've even got, yes, I have Peach. I have So Fucking Gold, which is a stunning gold color. I have Ice Cold, I have Summer Snow Cone, Princess Cup, Crystal Ball. A lot of these are just variants on that same white color, and I still wanted them in my collection. They were a little extra. They were extras that I didn't need, but that I wanted. And I feel like as a makeup person, like I'm gonna obviously have a ton of those. And I think that if you're someone who you're just like, oh, I want something to play with, or I need something that's dramatic in my collection, I don't have anything that has a ton of drama to it, I think that this is definitely a nice option. If you're someone that you're like, oh, I have 50 bucks and I think that this is kind of cool. I'm a big supporter of Kat Von D. I love Kat Von D. I hate Jeffree Star. He's a dick, and I love her and everything that she is and does. This would be a good palette to have. I definitely would recommend, if you're going to have this, that you get the matte version of this same palette, like they say in the description on Sephora, because I personally believe that this is very heavy, very glammy, and very shiny. And again, I personally do not do an eye that is ever 100% shimmer because I think it is very extra, and it just sits very heavily. It's not uncomfortable, and it is beautiful. I mean, it looks very nice. As far as myself personally, I am on the fence as to whether or not I would keep this, just because I feel like, A, I've seen these shadows, B, I have these shadows. Like, it's not like there's anything in here that's, you know, super amazing, super out of the ordinary, super, you know, innovative or anything like that. There's not a bright, bold, or even like a bold, you know, unique kind of color. And the one unique color that I really was drawn to, that rust color, blended out into another brown. So I was like, that part kind of bums me out. I have an itch on my nose and it's bothering me. Anybody else, like foundation people, I have to like hit my face when it itches. Like, it's like a weave, but like for my face. So I hope that that helps. I typically won't ever tell you guys what to do with your money unless it's like just complete shit, and then I'm like, yeah, don't buy it. So I'm starting to repeat myself. I'm gonna stop there. I hope that this was relatively helpful. When it releases in the UK, I definitely say if you have the ability to swatch it and check it out, do that first. See if it's something that you would enjoy. Even if you're here in the US, do the same thing, or buy it from Sephora. If you don't like it, they'll mail it back to themselves for free. So definitely worth looking at. I definitely think it's a palette that you need to see how it wears on your particular eye, how it like sits, if it creases. Is it too creamy for you? Do you like that heavy of a shadow? I think that it's one of those ones where the formula alone you really need to work with and see if it's something you can stand. So that's where I'm gonna end that, you guys. I hope that this was helpful, and have a great day, night, weekend, whatever. Don't forget, hit me up in the comments, anything that you guys want to see. That's what this young lady did, and here's her video. So do the same, and let me know if there's anything you guys are curious about or you want to see or whatever. And I read all the comments, and social media handles are also down below if you want to get with me socially, which we all know you do because I'm a hoot. And that's it, you guys. Enough rambling. This video is really, really long. So I will talk to you guys all later. Bye. That was supposed to be glimmer, glitz.